morning, or as we say here in Jerusalem, Israel, Boker Tov. Bon matin, bonjour, buenos dias. And if you're in another part of the world, we won't go into afternoon, evening, or nighttime, but we hope it's good for all of you wherever you are. My name is Karen A. This is the Afro-Euro Reco12 podcast. We are a family of recovery resources for addicts suffering from all addictions and all afflictions. So whether you're a workaholic, a sexaholic, a narcotics addict, an alcoholic, an overeater, maybe you've got a people addiction, maybe you're codependent, perhaps you're an Al-Anon, related to an addict, that's no party, anorexic, gambler, whatever you got, and even if you've got a few of them, like many of us do, we hope you have come home and that you will hear something you resonate with. On our website, Reco12.com, we've got a bunch of shares from all different people, from all types of fellowships. And you might just hear something in there too. All our shares are recorded. We're kind of a more intimate meeting here live, but I assure you about 350 people download the recorded shares from Reco12.com. If you would like to share on this meeting, I'm always looking for speakers. If you're speaking on this meeting and you have sponsees or fellows who you want to help them get active in their step 12, send them my way, send me their contact info. We're looking for speakers August, September, into the fall. We'd love to have you share your experience, strength, and hope and recovery story. If you'd like to contribute a seventh tradition, you could do so at Reco12.com/support. Without further ado, I will introduce my fellow and brother, the legendary Purdy, one of the founders of the Spiritual Cartel based in the UK. Good morning, Purdy. You will have, why don't you take 30 minutes to share. People on the line, you can type your questions into the chat, and Purdy will go ahead and take them at the end. Or if typing's not working for you today, we can unmute and ask questions. And I encourage you all to take advantage of Purdy's experience, strength, and hope. As Purdy is a man who has created the fellowship he craved. He went out and started his own 100, to put it mildly, probably more than that. And I encourage you all to do the same, because this is a changed man before us. Purdy, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Hey, Karen, thank you so much. Thank you for that lovely introduction. How beautiful, and so good to see you, and so good to see so many familiar faces on here this morning. Wherever you are in the world this morning here. My name is Purdy. I'm a recovered addict, and I'm a recovering human being. Oh my goodness. Start with a prayer. I was listening to a share the other day, and sometimes I didn't know what I was going to talk about this morning. Well, the spirit life is not a theory, is what we're talking about, and how beautiful. But sometimes when I share, it's very, I've got my story, I've got my experience, strength, and hope, and that's where I come from. But actually, I heard a share the other day, and it's actually quite nice to talk about the last 12 hours. We can talk about it. We can gauge enough information, enough experience, enough feeling, enough spirit to be able to talk about the last 12 hours as opposed to the last 20, 30, 40 years. And I thought about that, and I was thinking about that. And actually, quite a lot has happened in that time. A lot has happened emotionally, a few things that have popped up, a few conversations that I've had that, have brought about some stuff to do with my oldest son, my family. Karen so beautifully just said then that, I'm a changed man. I'm here to report that that is true. And thank God. This way of living, this experienced and practiced way of living, because I can't just talk about it. I have to engage in it daily. I have to practice these principles in all of my affairs, not just talk about it. And then what happens is, I don't know what happens, but all I know is that I don't feel like I'm in my body. This old character, this avatar, this agent of chaos, this outright mental defective, this lunatic, this sad, lost, lonely, desperate, painful character He doesn't take over my entire soul like he used to. I wake up and I hand myself to God. I wake up and I close my eyes again and I get into conversation. Let's start with a prayer. God, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for another day. This beautiful life on earth. I looked out the window this morning and just, wow. Thank you for another beautiful sunrise to enjoy. And I got to see it. I got to see it this morning. I got to feel it. Thank you for the wonderful sounds of nature. Cool breeze that was brushing through all around me as I was sitting in the windowsill of my house earlier on today. I could see the trees and the birds. They were singing melodies. You are wonderful, God. Full of grace and mercy. I praise you for allowing me another day to spend it with my fellows. To spend it with Katie. To spend it with Dave, Jason, Karen, Haley, everybody that sits there on this meeting right here, right now, to spend it with my family. Amen. So a little bit about me, really, just like, I was sitting having a conversation last night with a fellow, and we were bringing up some bits and pieces. I destroyed my life, over 4 decades. I ended up in a lot of pain. Suicide was my story. I came into this fellowship absolutely busted and broken up. It not just busted and broken up. I feel that I was very, very, very ill. I was very sick. I had a lot of pain. I was debilitated from a disease. This disease, I couldn't speak. Words couldn't come out my mouth. I remember it. And actually, I was thinking and having this conversation last night, and I got quite emotional and I got quite sad because I think for the last 6 months, maybe a year of my using, I don't remember talking. Like, I was that full of pain, that I don't think I had a conversation. I think it was up, out, score, back, here, self-pity, pain, misery, no conversations, no people, and I didn't speak for a year. I remember trying to rip the noises out of my head. And this conversation I was having with someone last night, we were talking about life now, this freedom from the steps, these beautiful steps that we take, spiritual understanding, this spiritual home, understanding the powerlessness, really understanding it. And it was quite beautifully said when we were talking, like, actually, just when the simplicity and the beauty of the steps, when you just read the step, and that still sounds stupid, but sometimes I'm overthinking absolutely everything. Admit I'm powerless and life is unmanageable. I have to be 100% convinced that I'm completely and utterly powerless. Anything that I try to control, I destroy. I don't mean to. It's why I'm built. I'm sick. I'm not a bad person. I'm sick. Then we have come to believe in a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Came to believe, start this spiritual journey, these walls that we put up, hand it over to the care of God, that maker, that decision. Beautiful. Okay. Then we start to get moral inventory, conversation with God, spiritual seesaw, 6, 7, love. Amends, page 83. Spirit life is not a theory. I think he's on 83, middle of 83. A lot of reconstruction is ahead. And then we finish on there with a step 12 promises, step 9 promises. That beautiful big book, 10, 11, and 12, and then living in that discipline, awareness, and service of 10, 11, and 12. Spirit life is not a theory. We have to live it. And what a magical place. What a magical place that this has become a natural practice for me. This has become a natural way of life. Not at the start, I want to push against it. I want to pull against. I don't get it. I don't even know if it's I want to push against it. I'm just me, right? I don't know. I don't understand. But this fundamental idea of this God character that everyone's talking about, this make-believe fella up in the sky that controls the heavens and the earths. I've got this idea of, but I pray to him enough times when the chips are down, when I'm in trouble. This opportunity to pray in the light, this opportunity to walk hand in hand with, this opportunity to close my eyes, I had a share the other day and put my hand out and actually feel God's touch. Reminds me of that hand of God picture. You know, how willing am I to reach out and connect with divine consciousness, connect with the divine, connect with God, connect with the power, connect with love, connect with the spirit way of life. Because when I do, truly magical things happen. I get out of the way and I let God in. And we're having a conversation, and all my children are back in my life today. You know, all my kids are back in my life. And actually, you know, I'm probably told a fib. Because when I share, I say, all my kids are back in my life today. That's not the truth. My eldest son wasn't. My youngest kids, yeah. You know, they're back in my life, and my middle boy. But I hadn't spoken to my eldest son whilst I've been in recovery. And he messaged me a few days ago. Said, Dad, I love you. Would you like to meet up, play some basketball? See, I've never tried to. What this program taught me, or is teaching me every single day, is the minute I step out of the way, the minute I stop trying to gain control, the minute I, you know, want life to be all the way that I want it to be, and I'm grabbing hold of and I'm trying to do this, it reminds me of this old painful life. It reminds me of that, you know, I remember when I lost my family and I was so desperate to get it back. Which is crazy because I destroyed it 100 times. So like, but it's this power, this desperation to get back. And actually, when I step back and this program teaches me that and let God take over, wonderful things do happen. Wonderful things do happen. And you know, this faith thing, you know, my faith starts to grow. My faith starts to grow as these experiences start to happen, as these things, as I move out of the way. Yeah, because the whole world evolves around Purdy, selfish and self-centered to the core. You know, and I want to put it all back. I want everything to be put back into place. I want everything to be just how I want it, even though, you know, I broke it. So to sit back, to practice spiritual principles, to live a spiritual way of life with nature, with prayer, with meditation, with mantra, and actually to sit back and allow this stuff to happen. Do you know what? It's truly magical when it does. Because then I get to see the truth. I get to feel the energy. I get to feel this love. I get to feel God's hand in mine. I got very emotional, which I don't do very often. I got very emotional last night when I was talking because I was reminded of a story that that caused me a lot of pain, a lot of guilt, shame, and remorse. We talk about, and the conversation was sort of led around: how do you forgive yourself for what you've done? And do you still think about it? And it says that, you know, we do not wish to, you know, we don't regret the past or wish to shut the door on it. How true is that? You know, I get it. This experience has happened for me, not to me, because it allows me to be of service. You know, it puts me in a place where my heart, my mind, my body, my soul is loving, and I'm able to put my hand in the pit, have purpose, help another addict. And I get that side of it. I get that. Wonderful, beautiful, magical. But actually, have I truly handed this over to God? Or am I still showing up? Do I still want to take control? Do I still want to run the show? Do I still want to, you know, make decisions based on self? Do I forgive myself? Do I truly forgive myself? I say, you know, I say it when we read the readings, but do I actually forgive myself for what I did? I promised when I was I didn't have a good childhood. And I promised it was so painful that I promised that I would never, ever, ever, ever be like them. I would never hurt them. I would never put them through. And I remember having that conversation, probably with God. going, I will never, when I'm in pain, I will never, ever, please get me out of this situation, God. And I promise you, if I ever have kids, I'll never, ever treat them the way that I was treated. Yeah, I do just that. Because hurt people hurt people. And what this fellowship does, it gives me the opportunity to understand, to break these chains. And I was sitting with that. It was a story that come up last night. Do you know what? The Spirit's just telling me to say it, and why not? Now, my wife was an alcoholic before she died. And it was a very violent household. Not from me. She used to change. I used to see it. I used to physically see it, and I'd come in a bit upbeat. I loved her dearly. And I'd come in all upbeat from wherever I'd been, and she'd turn around and she'd be like, and I'd see that face where she'd been drinking, and my whole soul and my whole heart and everything just dropped because I knew what was coming. We had these two young kids in the house, and I couldn't express because I'm not a violent man. So I can't express it, I couldn't do anything. It was more of a sort of attack, and it was more, and I'd sort of end up smashing stuff up. And my two first kids got to see a lot. Finally, one day I'd had enough, and I decided to leave for a bit. And I didn't make contact because it was crazy. It was constant. It was all the time. It was 1,000 messages a day, and it was, it wasn't good. And I could see that it wasn't good for us or the family, so I moved out. But what I didn't know is how bad she got. I lost contact with my two youngest kids. When I made contact again, when my wife died and I went back to the family house and I had my kids, we sat under a tree and we were talking. And he told me a story he said, one day we couldn't ever wake mummy up. He said, and Jude was only 3, I think, 3 or 4. So he said, I used to look after, don't worry, Dad. I looked after him. And he was 7. And he didn't know what he was doing. But he was trying. This disease is crazy. He went to McDonald's one morning and he bought 2 weeks worth of McDonald's. So that he could feed him every day. I was reminded of that last night when I was talking. How do you forgive yourself? How do you sit here, and how do we move through and move forward again? We can't live that life anymore. Spirit life is not a theory, we have to live it. The forgiveness comes from me, from understanding that was my addiction, understanding that was a moment in time, understanding the power of alcohol, drugs, acting out behavior, understanding when I'm not connected to the spiritual. That's a different person. That person back then is not the person that sits here today. It's not the person that leads with a loving heart. It's not the person that is kind and caring and wants the best for people. It's not the person that puts others before himself. This is a different person that sits here, a guy with peace, a guy that doesn't wake up full of pain and in a bitter morass of self-pity, morbid reflection. I get an opportunity to be of service. And that was the conversation where it was leading last night. So when I start this process of, have I truly forgiven myself? No. Until the spirit world starts to work, until I get that message from him, until I let go, let God, until I step out the way, until I allow whatever's going to happen. I just, I'm doing God's work, not God's job. I just turn up for service. I just get into prayer and mantra and meditation and breath. I just get into discipline. I just watch for my behaviors. I'm aware and write it down and move through and move forward. 10, 11, and 12. I just keep doing this stuff and I allow whatever's going to happen. I allow. So he's still in there. And whatever happens, happens. And then you get to witness the power of God. Then you get to witness this in action, this thing, just by a simple text, because I've let go. I've let go of that, and I've made a commitment to be of service, and then to actually have that message back. When he rang me, he's an older guy. He's 22 now. He's got a partner, and he's moving on, and he's doing his life. And if I can be any part of that, a message every now and again. I think I've sent, every other day or every few days, I always send a message. I love you, and I have done for many years. Never stop that contact. Not a big essay, just to let him know that I'm thinking of him. And then for that experience to come a couple of days ago, and him say, "Dad, you fancy going and play some basketball?" Just proves to me that this stuff works. If I just get out of the way a little bit, if I just allow it to be on God's time, in his time, not my time, selfish and self-centered to the core. This is why I need to practice and engage in this stuff daily. This is why I can't just talk the talk. I've got to walk the walk. I've got to move with the energy, move with the spirit. And you know what? It's a truly incredible thing. Part of that conversation yesterday was, I think she thought I was probably a bit mental. And I was talking about this energy that I feel, this glow around me, like I come out of prayer and meditation. I go in staggered. I go in spiky, a little bit spiky, not as spiky or as staggered as I was, but I go in. I don't go in soft. I go in. I'm a little bit all over the gaff. And when I come out of and I open my eyes and I feel the energy and I feel that power, I feel completely different. I open my eyes and it is like a rebirth. What happens is everything moves differently. Like this morning, like now. I can feel it. I can see it where I put my hands together, the way that I move, the way that I see, feel, touch, smell. My five senses are different to how they normally are. I feel it. And actually, I feel this energy and this glow around me. I can visually see, not now, it's not there now, but sometimes I can visually see this. It's like not like if it's black or white, it's like in between. I don't actually know what it is, but it's like a little density which sits right the way around my body. I can actually feel it and I can visually see it and I feel part of it. It's just, this stuff is magical. Oh my God, I feel protected. I feel like home. And I'm spiked by little Karen said at the beginning of this meeting, but you come home. It's these little, it could just be one word that gets me in the spirit world. If I live it, if I'm part of it, then I get touched by these little words, come home. And you'd say it and I'll close my eyes because I feel like I've come home here. I never had a home. I was talking to V about it the day, actually, a couple of days ago. I've lived in 35 places in the last 40 years. I've never had a home. Never had a home. I've never a place that I can call home. I spent my entire life trying to escape from, and I've spent the rest of my life looking for. I find it here. I found it here with you guys, with God, and I start to build this spiritual home. I start to spiritual home. And what will happen will happen. If I get out of the way, if I step out of the way, I know I'll find my place. But I do feel it here with you guys. I am amazed. It is a miracle that I get to do this, that we get to do this today. I truly believe that. And I know everyone had their own pain. That's why we're here. I can only talk about my pain, and that pain was so powerful that I didn't think I was going to be all right. I didn't think I was going to be all right. I didn't think I was going to be able to get out of this. And if anyone's on this meeting or listening to this meeting and you feel that you can never love again, you can't walk again, you can't put your life back together, I promise you, you can. I promise you, you can. from the pain of a soul, from the darkness of a soul, to come in here and see darkness reversed, to see the dark turn into light, to have the opportunity to be a light, to serve, to help others, to walk hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. Miracle, magical, marvelous, magnificent. I wake up with a lot of gratitude. Hold on. Once I've closed my eyes after I've woken up, I have a lot of gratitude. Yeah. I'll wake up in the morning, I look and I go, and I can close my eyes and I get out of self. And then I can really, really feel that gratitude. True gratitude, really true gratitude for a life that I get to live now. And seeing others put their lives back together. I get to truly, truly, live a different way of life. I put my relationships back together, my ex-partner, with my kids, with my babies. I'm yet to see what happens with the my oldest son's situation, but I can't wait for that. Try and hold it together. Start playing basketball with him and start crying on the foot. Go, I'm ready to go. Knock it on the head. Want to play some basketball, but I'll get to spend that time with him and I can't wait. Karen spoke at the beginning of the meeting about being of service. Step 12 in action. It's all a bit flat. It all doesn't quite make sense at the beginning, but as you experience this stuff and you live it, it starts to sort of work from the other way. I think back now and I think of step 12 and I think, well, that's how I was saved. I was saved by a guy who I put my number in the chat on Zoom and he rang me up. He said, "You're not a bad person, Purdy. You're just sick like me." Step 12. Step 12 in action. We're there. Step 12 in action. Spirit life is not a theory. We have to live it. Was he living it? Yeah. Was he out there scoring? Was he out there in self? No. He was here on a meeting and he was of service. And he saved my life. Because I don't know what 24 hours would have brought. No idea. Could have woken up the next day in a completely different frame of mind, on a completely different journey, on a completely different thing. So I know that I am meant to be here. I'm meant to be here. But I'm here because of step 12. I'm here because of step 12 in action. So with this gratitude, with this spirit life is not a theory, with this new practice, with this new way of life, with this new energy, with this new love, with this new way that I feel, with this new heart that I lead with, and get to see others and get to work with others and get to help others. Do you know what? It sets my soul on fire. I'm passionate for this stuff, I love this way of life. I love it. Inspired. I think I heard Ralph, what did he say? I came out of desperation, I stay out of inspiration. True story. Inspired by my fellows, inspired by seeing people putting their lives back together, inspired by seeing the whites of their eyes, inspired by seeing those big, smiley, happy faces from a life that wasn't like that. Get the opportunity to create fellowship, opportunity to build, and work with others on meetings, the opportunity to hear and see some of the most fantastic and marvelous stories and experiences from all around the world. To join meetings, hear different people's experience, strength and hope, get to work hand in hand with my brothers and my sisters, get to see that me when I came in here and I needed help. I get to see that in my fellows. And then together, we all get to put our lives back together. And we get to keep doing this stuff, get to keep being of service. I used to really push back against no, I didn't. Why do I keep saying that? I just didn't know. That's all. Just didn't know. Can't experience the experience till you've experienced it. I can't wait to go and meditate. I'm going to meditate after this meeting. I've meditated this morning. It's I can't wait. I can't wait to get out there in nature today. I can't wait to write some inventory when lunatic turns up, because he'll be there today. He'll show up, guaranteed. Well, not guaranteed. I don't know. Why do I talk like this? I don't know. But most of the time he does, right? we have to do that work. I can't wait for it. I can't wait, because it's the growth, isn't it? The beauty of this spirit, world, life, energy, love. I get to notice this stuff. I get to be aware of it. I get to write it down. I get to get it out of my head before I become out of my head. Get to get it down. I get to get it on paper. My problems otherwise are the size of the world if they're in here. I can't. There's not enough room. There's not enough room for my thoughts and my feelings, let alone someone else's thoughts and feelings. Don't let someone else live inside your head. I can't allow someone else to live inside my head. There's no room. I've got to deal with my own stuff. And, I do that through prayer. I do that through meditation, mantra, through breath. And I can't wait to get back to it. I can't wait to keep practicing these principles in all of my affairs. Because what ends up happening is, most of the time, I've got this internal smile, which I'll never, ever be more grateful for than from when I came in here. I'm going to finish up by saying, love each other, man. Love each other. Look after each other. Pick each other up. Hold each other. Be there for each other. Support each other. Love is our greatest energy. All this gossip and slander and soul murder and, back and forth and to and fro. Just try and be there for each other, yeah? Try and walk hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. The spirit life is not a theory. We have to live it. And thank God we get an opportunity to live it today. Thanks for allowing me to share.
Got questions about addiction, recovery, or just life in general? Let's noodle it out together. Grab your big book, a pen, a highlighter, and a notepad, and join Nikki M and me, Justin B, on Reco12 Noodle It Out with Nikki M. Each episode, we take real-life questions, ours, yours, and those from the recovery community, and dig deep into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to find real, practical solutions. So, if you're ready to do the work and apply the solution, tune in to Noodle It Out with Nikki M, streaming now on your favorite podcast platform.
Wow. Purdy, that was so beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you. I want to quickly review before we get into questions. I'm going to begin with the end. Actually, I'm going to say something first. As you all see, our angel, our brother here, Purdy, is really well-spoken and charismatic and emotive. And I know Purdy is going to join me in this, that we don't want you just sitting there listening to this recording being like, wow, Purdy, you're so special. Wow, Purdy. We do. We want to be complimenting, right? Because like instead of, because he's still, he's still a man. He's got a bruised background like he shared with us. We got to help build it back up. No, we can tell him how awesome he is and how charismatic he is. But the biggest compliment that you could give Purdy is take that inspiration, take that admiration of how he is letting God's power flow through him. His power, his light, his wisdom, his vulnerability, even on the basketball court. His beauty. If you really want to compliment Purdy, take that and tap into your own version of that. Tap into your own version of God speaking through you, your energy, your creativity, your light, your wisdom, your experience, strength, and hope, and go out and create your own 100. If you want to really compliment this handsome, charismatic, powerful man, you will go out and take your own energy and create your own 100. but I digress. Can I get an amen, Purdy?
Amen. Here, sister. Well, about what you said, not about maybe some of the this handsome devilish character that you're talking about.
Yeah, of course. You probably agree with that. Fine. And you all are all out there beautiful and handsome and all that. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise, you know? One of the other things that I was reminded in the end of Purdy's share throughout, and you probably saw I was crying unless you were foggy from your own tears. Purdy talked about let's let go of the shame mongering and slander and gossip. You know, if you don't know, I wear a head covering because I'm Jewish. You know, and we have actually laws, Torah laws about guarding your tongue. And like, let's use our tongue to spread light, to spread love, to spread recovery. You know, there are plenty of people doing that. You know, there are no job opportunities in that other market. You know, it's fully saturated with people bad mouthing. You know, we gotta corner the market positivity, people. And one of the things I kept thinking of, you probably heard this before, is like, if you've got a rough past or you've had a few broken relationships like me or Purdy, and I'm sure plenty on the line have their own dazzling resumes of drama and trauma, we could probably all, you know, compete. Give the love you always wanted. Go out and give your children, give your fellows, give humanity the love you always wanted, you know? I'll just give a little example before I go back into Purdy share. A neighbor just had a baby, and if you don't know, here in Israel, there are missile strikes. Yes, I do my step 12, even though we go into sirens and safe rooms. And my friends have had their windows blasted, and they're down in bomb shelters. And yes, I did not cancel this meeting despite of that. Someone go on mute, please. We still show up and do our step 12 if we can, if it's not life-threatening. And a woman next door had a baby. Anyway, she asked, where can you buy Franks and blanks? And I thought, I should probably make those for her, you know? Like, that was my step 12. Oh, somebody's off mute. Who's off mute? Oh, Cynthia, can I mute her? Okay, back to the matter at hand. I'm not sure how to mute her. Back to the matter at hand. Purdy talked about having that pain, coming in broken. So if you feel broken, don't feel you can't be here. Purdy talked about children. I really resonated with that. Having so much guilt and shame over whether it's yelling at our children, neglecting our children, hitting our children, you know, that could really get me at times. Having guilt about that and just leaning into 10, 11, and 12, you know, feeling that pain. I'm going to ask Purdy to speak a little bit about that more deeply in a minute. But, you know, making our amends, making our living amends. A lot of us have a lot of guilt and shame and pain and horror about, you know, about having hurt our children. We talked about that. We talked about seeing other people instead of being in self, you know, sending messages to his kids, you know, having adult children, you know, I have teenage children. It could be a thankless job, but we got to remember that God put us in charge. We're the ones to send the I love yous. And, you know, I know an addict in his cups can be waiting. Why doesn't anyone love me? Why didn't anyone message me? Why aren't the girls doing the dishes? Why isn't anyone thinking of me? So that's where we do our 10, 11, and 12. That's where we recharge the battery. We recharge the battery so that we have what to give. By the way, a little PS, I'm going to sync up with Purdy on meditation. I'm addicted. Like, I didn't used to meditate, and now it's like, I'm like on the 3 times a day plan. It's just next level, physically, emotionally. So I'm going to put in a plug for that, your meditation practice. There are a lot of apps Get a meditation app, Insight Time or whatever. You could look on YouTube, whatever your faith is. There are Jewish meditations, Christian meditations. Purdy spoke about meditation. Highly recommended if you're a little bit antsy, if you're agitated, restless, irritable, and discontent. Start with a 5-minute meditation. Learn how to do box breathing. It will do wonders for your sober nervous system, living in sobriety, right? He spoke about children, he spoke about basketball, he spoke about death, he spoke about coming home. I'm so grateful to have this meeting. See, one of the things, Nikki M always says it, but our big book says, we must smash the delusion we're like other people. So before I got here, I actually was in my exercise class. I left 20 minutes early to start this meeting. See, I don't get to be like all those cute ladies in the gym. I got to click the Zoom link and get in my car because I smashed the delusion that I'm like other people. I have to get home and run errands, but no. I want to be present when Purdy's speaking because, as an addict, I can multitask and not be present, and go off screen. So I sit in my car, I sit my butt down, put up the emergency brake, and listen with my heart. Okay, we smash the delusion we're like other people. Other people could eat junk food. I can't. I eat a mostly raw food diet, healthy, try and go organic. I can't. I need my body to be a vessel for God's love, for God's light. Other people can hang around and have iced coffee. Not me. I need to be God's servant. I can't be dosing up on sugar. Anyway, I'm not preaching to you all. I just want you to understand that, we smash the delusion, however that looks for you, whether it's, I see our beautiful Katie there vaping. If that means you gave up cigarettes and you're vaping or whatever, whatever you got to do to make yourself the best, purest vessel to shed his light. We encourage you. And I see that in Purdy. He talked about doing that meditation, like them some vitamins, can't miss a day or an oncology patient won't miss his chemo or biotherapy. Okay. So I've gone on and on and on, and I'm sure you'd love to hear me speak longer, but I'll spare you. If you have some questions for Purdy, I'm going to lead with the first question. I really want to hear you speak about, what happens when I think about that time that that I smacked my kid, or that, I don't even want to say it out loud, got violent, got angry. And some of you may be different as a codependent. Sometimes I get really needy. Like my teens ignore me and I could cry. I'm like, so embarrassing, Why are you talking to me for 2 days? You talk to your friends for 8 hours straight. Why won't you talk to me? So you may not be violent. You may be really needy. I've suffered from both maladies. Can you talk about that, Purdy? What happens when that strikes, when you take your program, either, you have regrets about the past, about the neglect, about the aggression, about the violence, about the lying, about being a horrible example, about the dysfunction, or when you get really needy? Can you dive into that a little bit deeper?
Hey Spearheads, if you're looking to dive deeper into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with people who live the solution, then you won't want to miss Reco12 Big Book Roundtable. Join David G., Nikki M., and me, the moderator Justin B., 3 recovered addicts from multiple fellowships, as we break down the big book line by line. In each 30-minute episode, we share our experience, strength, and hope in a real, raw, and practical roundtable discussion. So, if you are ready to learn and apply what you learn, tune in to Reco12 Big Book Roundtable on your favorite podcast platform.
Yeah, sure. If I don't heal from what hurt me, I'll keep bleeding over people that never cut me. So I see that when I come in here. We speak of it's happened for us, not to us. That forgiveness comes from, because it pops up. It's how quick in meditation, in breath, can I release? And I think that's what step 12 is. That's for me, that for me, that beautiful opportunity to work with others. That's how I forgive myself in that moment, because if I truly let go and let God, it all comes back around. You know, I get an opportunity to help others. I get my amends process, because some of the stuff like that I could probably never make amends for verbally, or you know, so there's someone that's not in my life that's died that I I couldn't make that amends to, in that sense of having a conversation with them, actually sitting down with them. I had to do a death side amends. So how do I make an amends to those people when it pops up, when I crop up, when I sit there and want to drag myself down into the sewer of quicksand and this bit of morass of self-pity because of the things that I've done? I remember that amends process, and I truly, when I made those amends, when I, broke free from those chains, because hurt people, I made an amends, and I made a graveside amends that I would spend the rest of my life helping other people, that I would truly lead with my heart, that I would truly go out there and spread light and spread love and spread hope forever, because it saved my life. So therefore, I get that thinking process, that acting, that in prayer has to be through breath and through prayer, because every time I turn up, I have to close my eyes and get out of the way. So therefore, when those thoughts and those feelings arise and they come out, I'm aware of them. Step 10, I close my eyes, realize I'm powerless and my life is unmanageable. I need to come to believe in a power greater than myself, come restore me to sanity, hand it over to the care of God, see my part in it, have a conversation with God. Spiritual seesaw is 6 and 7. I'm entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. Humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Love, amends. Do I need to make one? No, it's just a thought process. I'm in this discipline right now. I'm praying to you, God. Go and help someone else. So I'm, I straight away get into that practice of helping someone else, and that it's lifted. Lifted. I was trying to think of it. It was like, it goes away because I'm focusing on someone else. I'm not focusing on me. I'm taking care of someone else. I'm looking after someone else. I'm being of service to someone else, and not my selfish, self-centered, egocentric head. And that's where that pain comes from, because doesn't fit right with me. It's happened. All I can do is be the best version of myself that I can be now. All I can do is practice these principles in all of my affairs now. Be here now, right here, right now. Be here now in a place of love, not fear. It's all I can be. And that, but when it arises, I have to do that work, Karen. I have to breathe through. I have to get back into the spirit of the universe and remember that, remember why I'm doing this thing. I think that's the way it's, the way it works for me, most definitely. Step 12 in action, and that's step 12 in action. True amends to those that I've made it to. A bit like when people, when you make an amends process, and I share about it quite a lot when someone says in the amends, because there's some tricky ones and there's some that seem to go really well, where the person goes, oh, just keep doing what you're doing. And you go, and you come out there and go, oh, a few more of them, please. But actually, they're the most beautiful ones. I think, if we live it, if we truly.
And speaking of step 12, people private message me. I put my number in the chat if you'd like to share on this meeting, or like Brandy always hooks me up with different speakers. If you'd like to request other speakers for me in our time zone that I haven't met in your fellowship, send them over. It really makes a difference having, different people with different afflictions. It's just so cool, to hear a gambler, to hear a hoarder, to hear how a person uses the big book for, Nikki spoke about Al-Anonism using the big book. It's mad cool. So you do your step 12 that way, either sharing here or getting someone to share here. There are endless opportunities for service. And I'm just sorry, Purdy, you were speaking. Go ahead and then I'll say something else.
Can't remember where I was, Karen. Don't worry about it.
So I'm just going to say that it's an adventure, right? When we pray and meditate and we stop, like yesterday, I caught myself, especially with the news here, and going into safe rooms, and this city is bombed and that city is bombed. And also I'm an emergency responder. That's a miracle of this program. When I became free from codependency thanks to the spiritual gangsters. I went to study to be an emergency medical responder. I volunteer, helping people with field births, cardiac arrest. Yesterday, I went out to a boy with epilepsy who collapsed on a basketball court. Speaking of basketball, help his mother, help him. I'm a psychotrauma responder. By the way, I have some really good news, Purdy. I just want to share with you all. Just this week, I got accepted to get a master's in social work from a very prestigious program for working people. And like that is my job. That is my job. How can I be helpful? You know, and it's like I've been a manager and a business person. Oh, and by the way, it's paid for. It's fully paid for, you know, by the government, by God, of course. But it's like when we ask, like that wasn't a plan. You know, I was an advertising executive. I always thought I'd get my business degree. I thought, you know, I was 30 under 30 in Manhattan before I came to, you know, and then I softened up in this program. You know, I softened up. I started working with widows and orphans and divorcees and elderly and poor people. And now I'm going for a master's in social work, not a master's in business administration. Just let the spirit work through you. Keep asking how you can be helpful. And lots of surprises, beautiful surprises. A lot of time we're like, I have to sponsor. I have to do coffee. I have to do chairs at the meeting. I got all these personalities in the meeting. You know, no sort of personalities in our virtually in person. Sit back, enjoy the ride. You know, God is going to take you to different places. You know, I've heard Cameron D say it several times. You know, how do you know you're in recovery? People either get their teeth fixed or they get a degree, they learn something. So, you know, you keep working with others, keep doing service, you know, new learning opportunities. You're not stuffing food or stuffing Coke. You put new knowledge in your mind, new skills, new ways to be helpful. Okay, let's take that question in the chat, Purdy. I think Brian, you put a great question in the chat about 10, 11, and 12. See if you have something else to say on it.
Hey Reco12 Spearheads, if our recovery resources have helped you, please consider a donation. Your financial support, as well as your word of mouth support, keeps Reco12 running and reaching the man who is still sick. Donate today at reco12.com/support or check the show notes for PayPal and Venmo links. Every contribution helps carry the message. Thanks for being a Reco12 Spearhead.
Let's have a look. 1 second. I'm not even looking at the chat. Should be having a look. Let's have a look.
Share about your meditation, prayer practices. How do you sponsor? Okay. Prayer, meditation, and sponsorship.
I can't see the question in the chat, but you want to know about prayer meditation. What does prayer meditation and sponsorship look like for me? So prayer is the opportunity to speak to God. Meditation, the opportunity to listen to God, and actually, you know, and that's what the written down, you know, the what they are, you know, the definition that's there, but it's the true living of it. The true, do I do that? Do I truly do that? Yes. Did I at the start? I tried. Now I feel it. So what does that morning baptism look like for me? That morning baptism looks like for me, open eyes, laying in bed, open eyes. As soon as I open my eyes, I close my eyes. I roll out of bed, I get on my knees, put my hands together, and I feel the energy. Squeeze my hands together. I feel an energy moving through my body. I go into prayer. I'll have a conversation with. It could be anything. It used to be a set of prayers. You know, it used to be God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, or God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt, relieve me of the bondage of self. You know, God, help me set aside everything I think I know. You know, a set of prayers, but actually now it's more of a conversation. Morning, thank you. And we start to have a chat, we start to have a talk. I ask him to remove my thinking for me to get out of the way for the day. You know, I offer myself to thee. We have the conversation. We have a moment where I mean it. I get on my knees and I truly get into prayer. And then straight after prayer, I have to get into breath. I have to then get into silent meditation. One simple inhale, one simple exhale, one simple inhale, one simple exhale. And get into that breath until I can hear, see, and feel what God has planned for me today. The spirit life is not a theory. We have to live it. And in that meditation, in that breath, in that moment, I visually sometimes, I can feel it, visually see what it is I should be doing, helping others massively. But sometimes it's very connected to nature. So I get out and I do that. Sponsorship for me is, and then throughout the day, let's talk about prayer, in its entirety throughout the day when I show up, because I show up sometimes, I get into that 6 and 7, have all of me, good and bad. And that chat, that establish a relationship with God, that conversation with, here I am. Oh my God, did you just see what I was thinking? It's a chat like that for me. Have you seen how he's just turned up? I know you're seeing it. Yeah. Take it away. Help me to be loving and kind and gentle. Help me to be loving and kind and gentle. Please, God, help me to be loving and kind and gentle. It's a conversation with until I'm out of self, until I move through at night. It's a recap, a look at the day, which is just a thought. A thought session, a session where I can look at, I've been selfish, where have I been to, what could I have done better? But actually, it's just a place to really embrace God's loving arms for me and just have a look at, help me to be better tomorrow. For me, sponsorship is, I've always sponsored. I've always been a busy sponsor. I've taken well over 70 people through the work. Men and women. I've always had 6 sponsees since it's God's way. They just come. I get phone calls, I get messages from abroad. I'm currently working with someone in America, someone in Canada, a few people in the UK, someone from Sweden. So I get, I'm working with lots of different people and from all around the world, and it's absolutely incredible. And I've been I don't put my hand up for sponsorship. I don't put my hand up for sponsorship, and that's not me being Billy Big Bananas. That's just that God's light, for whatever reason, I get people message me, I get people phone me. I mean, there are times when I see in the chat I need help, or I hear someone on a meeting ring out, but I don't put my hand up. I just jump in and go, I'll sponsor you, because I want to be of service. But I get people ring me and people message me and they ask me to sponsor them, and it's an absolute honor and a privilege. So from the minute I came into fellowship and started sponsoring to this day right here, right now, I've never not been working with multiple sponsees. It's an experience you don't want to miss. It's an experience you don't want to miss, because I get to relive and rework the steps every single time. They get to teach me so much about myself. And I get to hopefully help them and put their lives back together. But I tell you what, they're saving my life. They're saving my life, and because of them, I'm staying sober and clean. Whether, fortunately to say it, whether they stay clean or not, I get the opportunity to stay clean and sober, and that's another addict, that's another drunk off the street. But God's grace, we can get everyone through it and everyone moving forward into this new way of life. Thanks, Karen. Thanks to whoever asked a question.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you for the breakdown. Vanessa had a question. What a fun question. Thanks for leaving. We're going to end this on a light note. We're going to answer this question and then we'll pray you out. Can you hear me? Can I be heard?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, this is great. Vanessa, you rock. Thank you for your share, Purdy. My question to you is, what would be your theme tune? Oh, this is so great. We got a little heavy here, as we addicts do, right? Take ourselves a little seriously. Oh, Vanessa, I love you. what would be your theme tune if you are to have one that reflects your recovery? Oh, that is just a bomb question. That's great.
Can I have time on this? I need time. I didn't know. It's fine. Hey, thanks, Vanessa. I'm gonna go away and have a think about this, but let's try and think about this in the moment, right here, right now. Oh my God, I love music. I hear, and I've always loved music, but I feel it, I hear it, I'm right in it and underneath it every single day. It's gorgeous. Old tracks, new tracks, all the way around, Motown, rap, anything. I like it. I love listening to music. There's a song, there's many, but a song that I really love is a song by Salt, and it's called Free. SAULT is the name of that, and the song's called Free. And it's just the way it breaks into, I mean, the video is, it's sort of like someone dancing, and then all of a sudden it goes free, and it breaks into oceans and dolphins jumping out and nature and all this stuff. And there's some of the words in it: don't give up for no one. God's love is free. And I love that song very, very much. So, and it's one that I play it, Kate. Hold on, let me see. Do you want me to play it? No.
Yeah, while you look it up for a second, maybe we'll go around while you look, or everyone can, everyone can look it up on their own on YouTube. Salt.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll put it in the chat, Karen. But it's a really.
I'm curious to know what jumped in your heads. I want to go around. Everyone unmute. Say what jumped in your head. I'm going to tell you what jumped in my head right away.
Yeah, go on.
Was John Travolta Staying Alive? Remember? With the finger, with the.
Yeah.
Staying alive. I don't know. That's just what I guess would be my subconscious.
I love it.
Anyone else got one?
Mine's well cheesy. It's Rocky.
I'm in the steps of the Philadelphia Library. That's the tiger.
Yeah.
It's the eye of the tiger, the thrill of the fight. Don't forget the thrill. It's not just a fight. It's a thrill too. Anyone else? Come on, Vanessa. On the spot. You put Purdy on the spot.
Since we're jumping in, can I just ask, what was that line you said, Purdy, that you said when you were asked about healing from trauma and forgiveness? If I keep something, and then about bleeding, if you remember?
If I don't heal from what hurt me, I'll keep bleeding over people that never cut me. Yeah, so if I don't heal...
If you type that up, can you send me?
I'll type it in the chat. I'll type it in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, that was strong. Chazak, as we say in Hebrew. Vanessa, you had a theme song?
I remember Katie asked me this one, and just off the cuff, I just said, well, there's probably loads, but I said, Journey, Don't Stop Believing. And I thought, that's it right now. Yeah, so in that moment, that was it. I might go and listen to it after this. Yeah, and Rocky and Salt.
Anyone else? And Dave, Brandon, anyone got a song before we all pray out?
I do. Hi, Almin Addict. It's Everybody's Free by Rosella, who's Zimbabwean, Zambian. Everybody's free. Feel good. I love that. And actually, if I can have two. And there's Coldplay, who has a song called You've Got a Higher Power. Or I've Got a Higher Power. I didn't know. I heard it in a supermarket when I was just really new in the program. And I was like, that's from God. I was like, yes, I have a higher power. I'm so bloody lucky. So yeah, I was like, oh, sorry for swearing. Thanks, guys. Wonderful meeting.
How about You Are the Wind Beneath My Wings? And this one's to God.
Ah, beautiful. Bette Midler, classic. Okay, I just got called to an emergency incident here in my neighborhood. Purdy, you want to go ahead and pray us out, please?
Absolutely. Thank you for a beautiful meeting. Have an unbelievable day, guys. I hope there's loads of magic waiting behind your morning. Dear God, I have no idea where I'm going. I do not see the road ahead of me. I cannot know for certain where it will end. Nor do I really know myself, and the fact that I think I'm following your will does not mean that I'm actually doing so. I believe that the desire to please you does in fact please you, and I hope that there's this desire in all that I'm doing. I'm trying. I hope that I'll never do anything apart from that desire. And I know that if I do this, you will lead me by the right road. I may know nothing about it, therefore I will trust you, always. And though I may seem lost, and in the shadow of death I will not fear, for you are ever with me, and you will never leave me to face my perils alone. Amen.